COVID times have sparked an interest in the stock markets like never before. Who said that money doesn't grow on trees? If you plant the seeds to wealth now, they could turn into money yielding trees later. Investing in stocks is one of the best steps you can take towards building wealth. A number of people have already started to look at equity investment as an additional source of income, thanks to the uncertainty over their current jobs, as also the availability of spare time with work from home. In fact, many edtech companies have reported a huge surge in the uptake of financial and stock market related courses. To discuss this further, we have with us Mr. Irwin Anand, Managing Director of Udemy India. People have been spending a lot of time in trying to understand the art and science of equity investment in the stock market. What has been your experience at Udemy? And do you see an active demand for courses related to stock trading and financial analysis?
Yeah, Udemy is a platform where anybody who has a skill and passion to teach can create a course, online course, which gets accessible for learners all over the world. Teachers who teach on Udemy, instructors who teach on Udemy are real world practitioners. So they teach in a way that the skill can be practiced on the job right away. Immediately after the lockdown in India, we saw 3 times growth in terms of course enrollments on the platform. We've seen a huge amount of new learner surge as more and more people realize that skilling is a need of the hour, and they're flocking on platforms like Udemy to take the courses which will help them skill themselves and be prepared for the challenges in the workplace of today. With this huge surge in learners and course enrollments, we've also seen an increase in breadth of the courses which are consumed on the platform. Which means that certain categories have grown significantly high. And one of them is the category which you talked about. So financial analysis, stock trading, these courses have increased in terms of enrollments by roughly about 360%, 360% year on year. We can hypothesize in terms of who this audience is. Udemy does not collect too much information about our audience. But the hypothesis is that people who are locked in their houses, they are either finding time to take courses around their passion, which is something which they've always wanting to do but never really had a time for, or alternatively they're also trying to find new sources of income, which could be by leveraging the opportunities which emerge in the financial markets during the time of pandemic and leveraging that to find enhanced source of income. Now, this increase in breadth also happened in some of the other categories, which I also would like to highlight. As in you and I, we were locked inside our houses, and I think one of the key requirement for us was to preserve mental and physical sanity as we kind of confined in our houses. So we also saw a huge surge in courses around meditation, Pilates, as people were trying to keep physically and mentally fit. People had more time at their disposal to also pursue their passions and hobbies. So we saw a huge surge in courses around drawing, around ukulele, playing a musical instrument, and so on and so forth. And of course, the bigger categories were always the tech and development space, which is web programming, data science, cloud computing, and so on and so forth. And we saw a huge surge in terms of courses being consumed in fairly advanced areas like neural networks, like TensorFlow, and so on and so forth. So bottom line is that the pandemic has led to a huge surge in people wanting to take skill training to be effective to solve a problem at hand and to be relevant at work, and to also pursue a passion or a hobby. And the increase in surge on our platform is a testament of that.
So, Mr. Anand, what about the target audience coming specifically to the financial and stock market related courses? What is one hears that everybody from a mid-career professional to a housewife to even students. Is there any way that you can track that what has been the mix of people undertaking these courses at Udemy?
So Udemy is the largest platform for skilling in India, which means that our audience is really wide. There are more than 5 million people, which is more 50 lakh people who've taken courses on Udemy in India, which makes us the largest professional skilling platform in the country. Our overall audience demographic is in the zone which you're talking about, which is age 20 to 35, mix of male and female. Male-female concentration is linked to the internet penetration in India, so roughly about 70% male, 30% female. Essentially, people wanting to get into a job or pursuing a career or a passion, or people already in a job or pursuing a career and wanting to acquire a skill which allows them to further, first of all, stay relevant in their job and career and their profession, or learn skills to progress and be relevant in the future as well. So from that perspective, we don't really slice and dice our audience, and it's tough for me to say that amongst the audience groups which you talked about, which of them is the one which has shown interest in this category. But from what we see in terms of people who have a learning journey on the platform, either there are people who are breadth players, so they start taking a course, for instance, a marketer taking a course on digital marketing or branding, but then they are curious about other topics, so they start branching off and also doing courses on data analytics, on business fundamentals, on business planning and forecasting, and also on financial analysis and stock market. So there are people who either have an interest to acquire more and more skills, but focus on breadth, and there are others who are focused on depth, which is they are focused on a core skill and they want to hone it up further. So, and we've seen both kind of journeys relevant on the platform. You know that today's career and I think interests and all that stuff, our lives are not really, even though we have a single career, but we kind of reevaluate ourselves every few years, and we might realize that we've actually done multiple small careers in our entire professional life. And the same thing is happening when it comes to skilling and hobbies and interests as well. So people are discovering new such hobbies, and platforms like Udemy allow people to kind of channel their curiosity into something which can be acquired as a skill and hence practiced, and then people can then figure out whether they want to go deeper or they want to branch off into something else.
Okay, well said. So, Mr. Anand, COVID times in general have been a great time for learning and tapping into one's hidden potential. And like you said, people have been experimenting with everything from meditation to Pilate to financial analysis, stock trading, and whatnot. Do you think this has in fact been a watershed year for people to also pole vault from one career to the other? You know, gone are the times when one was saddled with one job and one career, and companies like yours give one a chance and an opportunity to explore more areas of interest. What is your take on that?
Yeah, to answer this, I touched some of this in my previous comments as well. But I think the right context setting for this is, let's jog back our thoughts and go back to pre-COVID times. Let's talk about Jan 2020, which is pre-COVID, at least from an India standpoint. We were already living in an age which is called the age of fourth industrial revolution. And this era is characterized by a few things. The first one is fast and unprecedented pace of change. Change is so fast, it's hard to keep pace, right? The second is heightened globalization. As in stock markets are interrelated, supply chains are interrelated all across countries, and so on and so forth. And the third thing is digital and tech disrupting all aspects of our work and personal life. So this was what was Jan 2020, right? And then suddenly the pandemic hit us, right? March, the pandemic hit us. What happened due to the pandemic? And let's talk about all these three themes of the fourth industrial revolution. We talked about fast pace of change and unanticipated change. Suddenly our lives got disrupted post the pandemic and continues to be so even today. We were immediately confined into our houses, and we did not know how to essentially adapt and keep pace and continue to be productive in our work, in our profession, while staying at home. So we had to adapt, right? The second is heightened globalization. The virus does not know any boundaries. It proliferated all across the world, and lockdowns happened in a sequence all across the country, all the countries, unfortunately. And the third is digital and tech disrupting all aspects of our work and personal life. And that's happened in almost every aspect of our life post the pandemic. companies and businesses and individuals who are thriving are the ones who have a digital anchor around their go-to-market, right? And those who are old economy, not really digital businesses, are now being forced to think about how do they stay relevant for the future. So
Right.
from our vantage point, the Udemy vantage point, the themes which were the hallmarks of the fourth industrial revolution, they came into the forefront post the pandemic. And for anybody who's kind of trying to thrive and staying relevant in future during the era of fourth industrial revolution, uh, I think the big theme or the focus needs to be how do we keep pace with the change? How do we continue to ensure that we stay relevant? How do we acquire the skills which make us compete for the job market as of today to be effective and innovating today, but also prepare ourselves for the future which is emerging going forward? And that's why at Udemy, we firmly believe that today, this age is the skills economy and learning is the new currency. Yeah. The only skill which is relevant for today, which allows people to be effective at work, is the skill to learn. And hence, I think the COVID pandemic has brought that to the forefront. And this learning is not really a one-odd thing like in the past, right? You and I potentially passed out of a school and college. That degree was enough for us to find a job and stick to the job, and that's not really relevant as of today in the job market of today, right? You take a
Yeah.
job function changes, your job responsibilities change over time, and the skills which you need to stay relevant also change over a period of time. So continuous learning and always learning, and the ability to essentially stay resilient by acquiring new skills is the need of the hour. And COVID has definitely put into the forefront this need or ask to be able to effectively compete in the economy of today. Now edtech platforms like Udemy, as I mentioned in the past, are are suitable for the learning needs which are emerging today. Learning needs, gone are the days when, yeah, we needed to go to a place of learning. We had to make time to essentially, yeah, go into a classroom. We had to adjust our schedules to accommodate learning into our life, right? But today, as I mentioned in the past, modern day education needs to meet the learner where the learner is at their time, place, pace of choosing, right, and in their moment of need. And platforms like Udemy are allowing people to do that. Online learning is affordable, it is accessible, it is flexible, it is dynamic. And just like the world has moved from broadcast TV to streaming TV, on-demand TV, learning has also moved in a similar direction. And that has translated to this growth which we're seeing on platforms like Udemy as well. We believe that the pandemic has led to a huge surge on learning. We all know that. But we are also seeing that this is leading to a new normal, which is much higher than before, wherein people whom we've acquired during this period of time there's a much better acceptance to the need of lifelong learning, continuous learning, and doing it on a skilling platform which is available to you at your moment of need.
Well, very well said that learning is the new currency, and it seems that crisis tends to get the best out of people. But I want to focus. My last question is on the flip side of edtech companies like yours, and when we are talking specifically about stock-related courses, people end up making a lot of money. They also end up losing a lot, right? And they could be there is a school of thought which says that there are these bunch of instructors who may not be qualified enough or may not be giving the right kind of curating the right kind of courses. Of course, platforms like yours are more a marketplace, but do you have a way to track the quality of content that you're putting out there on your portal?
Yeah. See, again, I'm not qualified enough to essentially answer specific to this category, which is stock trading. But overall, yes, today is an age where people have access to a lot of content, right? And the content not only comes from learning platforms, but it also comes, yeah, all over the internet. If you want to learn something, one can Google it, one can go to forums, one can go to streaming websites, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of content available. But the content, uh, needs to be curated. It needs to be enriched basis feedback. And a marketplace like Udemy allows for that environment wherein any instructor who has a skill and passion to teach can create a course, but there's also a feedback loop. And the feedback loop is not only coming from us as Udemy, but also coming from learners who are taking that course. And that is a signal, a social proof, which is extremely useful and relevant, and which allows for good quality courses to thrive and survive when faced with a lot of competition from other instructors, other courses who are also competing for the same audience, which is looking for that specific course. So from our vantage point, the marketplace model of Udemy allows the good to be separated from the rest. And the instructors and the courses which are successful, there are a few key themes in that, in those courses which we've seen basis our analysis of the past. They are developed by instructors who are extremely skilled in that domain. The instructors put a lot of time, passion, and effort in terms of making the right course taking experience for their learners. The instructors respond to their learner queries proactively. So Udemy as a platform also allows learners to send questions to the instructors. Instructors have an opportunity to respond back. Learners can talk to each other. So the more engaged the instructor is to the learner, the better is the perceived quality of that course. And finally, the instructor who is also listening to feedback and keeping their courses dated.
COVID times have allowed us to answer our true calling. Whether it is learning how to trade in stocks or financial analysis or artificial intelligence. The fact is that the year has allowed us time to explore, to focus on things which are a little more than passion, a little less than profession. As they say, crisis tends to get the best out of people, and learning has really become our new currency.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.